Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 4th, 2021. I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by Steve Helwagen. Man, 2021 is off to a great start, Steve. Thanks to the Buckeyes kicking some Clemson butt. We're going to start with that. We're going to get into the national championship game in a moment, which is exactly a week away against Alabama. But how sweet it is, Steve. The Buckeyes finally got the Clemson monkey off their back, and it was a beatdown. I mean, Ohio State beat them down. They had more than almost 200 yards, more total offense than Clemson, and 49-28 is the final score. Almost doesn't even do it justice. Buckeyes got down 7-0. Then they were down 14-7, and then from there they just destroyed them. You were there covering it. Oh, I'm just still smiling ear to ear just thinking about it, Steve. Just your thoughts in general on the beatdown of Clemson.
Yeah, this was a game Clemson got out 7-0, 14-7, and you're thinking, man, is Ohio State's defense going to get a stop? Well, then like the next 6 or 7 possessions, Clemson managed like one touchdown, and that really, I mean, we're all fans of offensive football, and this was an offensive football display on both sides, really. But Ohio State's defense gave Ohio State's offense the ball back in position where it could go down and score. And the Buckeyes just kept mounting one drive after another. I mean, the numbers that they were putting up were astounding in that first half. I looked down at one point and they were averaging 11 yards every time they snapped the ball. And this was against a Clemson defense that was a top 10 defense nationally, giving up about 280, 290 yards per game. And Ohio State at halftime had 394 yards, and it was 35-14. And they had run the ball efficiently. And when that happened, Clemson had to walk the safety up into the box, and then they threw over the top efficiently. Some of his deep balls were uncanny. And in warm-ups, he was hitting one 50-yard throw after another. Now, obviously, it was against air, but he was putting the ball on perfect position at the goal line for his guys 3 or 4 or 5 times in a row. I just happened to watch it because let's just see what his thumb situation was. And he was perfect. And then guess what? He carried it over to the game and he was perfect. And they mixed in the tight ends. I was on Mobile, Alabama radio this morning, and I'm sure they appreciated this analogy. I said, this was reminiscent of them beating Miami in the Fiesta Bowl in 2003 and beating Alabama in the Sugar Bowl in 2015. They punched the bully in the mouth, and the bully had no response. And to me, that's exactly what happened here. Ohio State just was too physical, which I predicted. I said Ohio State's physicality is where they'll win this game. And that's exactly what happened. And it was even bigger and better than anybody could have ever imagined or hoped.
It was glorious. It's going to, we're all prisoners of the moment, but it was certainly one of my top 3 Buckeye games ever to watch. It's just, it was for a variety of reasons. I mean, the biggest being that Clemson has owned Ohio State, and for them to exact revenge like they did, it was so sweet. All right, let me ask you this. How dumb is Dabo? Why are you poking Ohio State like this? Why are you ranking them 11th and then doubling down? I mean, thank you, Dabo. Thank you. He's that's not going to motivate anybody. I guarantee you that motivated them. Ryan Day, I don't know if he would admit it publicly, but I guarantee you that motivated them. What was Dabo thinking? I guess maybe pride cometh before the fall. What is he thinking here?
He wasn't thinking, and
there you go.
And here's the thing: he knew on that Saturday after his team had won the ACC championship that they were going to play Ohio State. It was just lined up perfectly for Ohio State to be the 3 and Clemson to be the 2 and Notre Dame and Alabama to play. So he knew full well he was playing Ohio State, and he still overtly took the step to downrate Ohio State. And then, he chose this hill to die on, and he's died on it. There's no question. I said, spring football's in 7 weeks, get up for that because you talked yourself right out of the playoff. And Ohio State didn't need any extra motivation. I mean, you saw the ESPN clips with Fields back at the Woody Hayes Center, and the score of the game is in the background for a lot of the practices that they had and everything. So, it didn't make any sense to jab somebody that you're playing like he did. And it was like he got started with it and couldn't get stopped. And So, that's the way it went. Maybe, he as a veteran coach will learn that, it's better to just keep your mouth shut and not discuss the opponent, because the opponent is more than capable to shut you up in this case. And, this beating was swift and absolute by Ohio State, as we said. I mean, it was thorough. There was not a fluke. There wasn't a call. There wasn't anything that was controversial about it in any way, shape, or form. They just went out and beat their ass. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. And, from Ohio State's standpoint, they put it together. They've had some games this year where they were a little suspect. The Northwestern game was not their best game. And they came back and played the best game Ohio State's played in years, in my opinion, against a good opponent. So, they deserve all the credit.
Yeah, it was right up there with the Alabama win 6 years ago, the exact same stadium. And it's just, the parallels are eerie and awesome. Now, Justin Fields, obviously, we're going to get a chance to talk to him later today. We're going to get a chance to talk to head coach Ryan Day. I don't know how much they're going to say about it, but what's your gut feeling here? How healthy do you think Justin Fields is? I'm sure he is sore as heck. Do you think he broke ribs? I know I'm just asking you to kind of spitball here, Steve, but what's your gut feeling on how Justin Fields is feeling?
Well, I think wild horses would have to keep him away from the field on Monday against Alabama, and you hope that he is healthy. If he is injured, bruised ribs, broken ribs, whatever it may be, he'd probably wear a flak jacket to try and protect that area. That is such a vulnerable area, that lower back side area. You don't really wear a lot of pads there. So, again, that's an area that Alabama, may try and attack him on their pass rush to try and knock him out of the game. I don't know. But I thought the call was right. I thought to lead with the crown of the helmet is very dangerous, and people made parallels to the Ryan Shazier hit that put him in the hospital for months and put his life in peril. And so there's a reason. There's player safety initiatives, and for the hitter and also the person being hit. And so I didn't have a problem with it. Fields played through it. What a gutsy performance. This may go down as one of the most gutsy performances we've ever seen by an Ohio State player, to play with an injury like this and lead his team to victory. Not just play, but play extremely well. He had 42 yards rushing, some critical gains on running plays, escaped trouble, was only sacked twice, 385 yards passing, most ever by an Ohio State player in a bowl game, 6 touchdowns, also a record in a bowl game, and also I think ties a single game record for Ohio State. So what he did was nothing short of phenomenal. Are they going to need to stand on their head again like that to play Alabama? That is the big question. And they've got 10 days, now down to 7 days to get up for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a week away. It's fantastic that they put themselves in this position. All right, looking at the defense before we look at the Alabama matchup, Kerry Combs gets a lot of credit here. He's been a guy that, I think a lot of Buckeye fans and a lot of us in the media, we're wondering, we know he's an energetic guy, easy guy to root for, excellent recruiter, excellent defensive backs coach. How is he going to be as a defensive coordinator? And we really weren't going to know until he faced an elite offense. And you're not going to shut down Clemson, and they didn't shut him down, but they played a hell of a game. Ohio State's defense did. I give credit to a bunch of guys on that side of the ball, the players, and I give a heck of a lot of credit to Kerry Combs and that defensive coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree. It did look a little suspect early in the game with Clemson moving down the field. And I asked Coach Day about it after the game, and he was very complimentary of the defense and the plan. And he said that the key to the whole thing was Clemson did not hit big plays. So Ohio State's defense chipped away and kept the ball in front of them for the most part and made Clemson take it in 7, 8, 9-yard chunks, to where you always have a chance to get them off the field, as opposed to the one big play like we saw last year with Lawrence running and the screen passes to ATN. They hit him a couple times with that for some good gainers, but it was never a case where it was a 2 or 3 play drive and they scored quickly. It was never like that. So the defense really did a phenomenal job. And individually speaking, you kind of touched on it. Pete Werner, I thought, was fabulous. Tuff Borland was the defensive MVP. You could have given this to any one of several people. Justin Hilliard.
Yes, that's who should have got it. He should have been
Yeah.
defensive MVP, Justin Hilliard. Yeah, go ahead.
He made some plays. He recovered a fumble. He had a tackle for loss. There was a critical third down where he put Rodgers into the ground once and he put ATN into the ground once on third down, I think both of them, to get critical stops. And then at the end of the game, you had Tommy Togiai, Jonathan Cooper, and Tyreek Smith all out there. And in some combination, they either combined on a sack or a third or fourth down incompletion, I think, by Lawrence. They hit him as he threw. So either they were getting the sack to get off the field late in the game, or they forced an incompletion, or they pressured him into the interception. Just any way you want to put it. The front, as the game went on, they got stronger and they got better. And to me, that was what it was against Northwestern. That was the key to that win for the defense as well, because Peyton Ramsey had done well in the first half, and second half didn't do anything. He had 3 turnovers. The same premise kind of applied here. The Buckeyes gave up 4 touchdowns, certainly, but when they had to have stops, they got them. And in that middle portion of the game, they kept Clemson at bay. That's what it looks like when you play complementary football, offense and defense. And Ohio State's offense took full advantage, put up 5 touchdowns in the first half, and this thing was pretty much over, all over but the shouting, as they say, from that point on.
I've watched the game 3 times, watched it live, and I've rewatched it twice, and I'm going to rewatch it again today. It's just, again, it's such an enjoyable win. All right, now let's look ahead. Buckeyes versus Alabama for all the marbles a week from tonight in Miami. The line opened at Bama favored by 7. It's now up to Bama is favored by 8. Just what are your general thoughts on this matchup, Steve?
Well, as I said, I did a couple radio shots today and was asked Ohio State wins if, and I said, well, if they're able to maintain this level of physicality. Ohio State is the only team in the country averaging 250 yards rushing and 250 yards passing, which tells you they have great balance. And it's with Trey Sermon now at running back playing like, a better version of Ezekiel Elliott, a more physical version of his. He was dishing out the licks, Dave. I was watching it with my daughter yesterday, and we just marveled at how he was being hit 2 and 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and then twisting and fighting and shedding tacklers and getting 6 and 8 and 10 yards. And what that was a function of was Ohio State just going out and beating up Clemson, to where they couldn't handle his physicality or the physicality of the offensive line. Is that going to be the case against Alabama? I have not studied Alabama enough to get to know what they have and what they don't have. I need to really drill down on that today and tomorrow. I predicted that Ohio State would be more physical than Clemson, and that's what it was borne out to be. So that's the first thing. They need to hit a couple big plays. You go back to that game in 2014, 2015, Cardale to Devin Smith was big. We just need to see maybe a couple of those with Wilson and Olave. In Alabama's had tremendous pass defense problems. Somebody said that they think they're 77th nationally in pass defense, so they've had issues. If they protect Fields, he will complete balls downfield. That is my fervent view on this matchup. Other side, they will lose if they turn the ball over and if they give up big plays on defense, which they have done that at times this season. Didn't do it against Clemson. And here's the thing. Alabama's got the dudes to do it. This Devontae Smith, who figures to win the Heisman Trophy, he's amazing. Najee Harris is amazing. The quarterback, Jones, is amazing. So, man, we're in for a real treat, I think. Both defenses going to be tested, and this one could be in the 30s and 40s. I think they set the over-under in the mid-70s or something. So we're in for a lot of scoring, I think, on Monday, and first one to 40 may win. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great stuff, as always, from Steve Helwagen. Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you to all of the listeners for tuning in. Again, check Bucknuts today. We're going to check in with head coach Ryan Day and quarterback Justin Fields over Zoom. Have a great day, Bucknutters.